Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dawg Talk. I am your host, Paul Reed. I am the assistant women's basketball coach at the University of Washington, and let's get to it. All right, good afternoon, you guys. Welcome to another episode of Dawg Talk. I am assistant coach Paul Reed. I'm your host today. We have no other than Seattle own Chief Self, Regina Rogers-Wright. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I love the background. I see your Washington jersey, your little picture frames. Man, that is great to see.
Thank you. You know, every person I've met, I've seen them that are athletes. I've seen them like display all of their things, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. My uncle Joe Kelly, who also went up to the University of Washington and played in the NFL. I went to his house about 2 years ago. He lives in Ohio, and he had a room full of all his University of Washington stuff, all the teams that he played for in the NFL. He had a room full of all his friends and family members that played, and it was so awesome that I was like, I want a room like that too. So right now, all I have is a wall, but I still have a couple things that I want to hang up and do. But right now, it's just a wall. So.
Well, I would say your wall is looking very magnificent. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure all our fans out there and our Husky community want to know what you've been up to, Regina. I want you to fill everybody in what you've been up to.
Okay, so I am married. I'm married. My husband, his name's Anthony Wright. We've been married for almost 4 years, and I am now a CPS social worker. So I work for Department Children, Youth, and Family. And, I have a wonderful regional administrator, Joel Demba, and a supervisor named Emma Jones that helped me kind of transition into playing and being that professional athlete and then into the workforce. Emma Jones played basketball in Seattle, played high school basketball in Seattle, and she's tall like me, so we kind of relate on that thing because you don't see too many tall females. And I mean, it's just been pretty awesome. A lot of times when she's teaching me things, I'm learning things, it's easier for me because she relates it to basketball, and I think that's important, as a female athlete, to have another female athlete that is in a position of power to be able to relate things to you and to look up to. So I think that's great. That's like a mentor to me right now.
That's fabulous. You hit upon so many things. Having a female supervisor to lead, being tall, I think that's great. I mean, working for CPS is such a great, noble job. I take my hat off and commend you. We need a lot of help in those areas, and we need strong role models. And it's nothing like a role model like yourself, being from Seattle, local bred, played basketball, got a degree, and now it's giving back to your community. I mean, that's great. I love to hear that. I know you've done some great things. You Chief Self last year retired your jersey.
Yes.
And last year in 2020, you got inducted to Seattle Schools Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Oh, tell me, what was that like? I mean, those are two great accomplishments and achievements that you worked hard for.
Thank you. Yes. So the basketball jersey retirement from my high school was crazy, amazing. I had so many family and friends that came out. A big part of that, my mother, Sheila Winston, she came out. She was able to come out and have all my friends and family be there. So that was awesome. A big part of my life was my twin brother. His name is Reggie, and he was able to be there. He was actually going to school while I was going to school, so he wasn't able to see as many games. So for him to be there and be able to, be a part of that for me was really awesome. My sister Amanda, and she just had a new baby, and her name is Zuri. She was able to be there. And my uncle, which people don't realize, Chester Dorsey, he was also a Husky. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He also was part of the all-top century team for the basketball team. He was also there. So it was kind of full circle with my whole family being there, and I had friends, and I had a lot of support there. So that was awesome. The Seattle Public Schools Hall of Fame, it was supposed to happen in March, but because of COVID, we had to push it back to next year. So I haven't had to experience that, but just hearing that I was one of the people that were inducted was awesome. It was something I've always dreamed of. It was something that I worked really, really hard for. And I believe that, to be that 2020 class, it was amazing. I think I'm the first person to get their jersey retired and be inducted in the Hall of Fame in the same year. So I think that was awesome too. I mean, just, breaking those records and being able to be a part of history, because that's all I wanted to do, was be a part of Washington State history, be a part of something. I come from a family that is considered sports royalty. So everyone in my family, I have tons of cousins that played in either the NFL or the NBA. My father played. So making it to a college and playing professionally isn't anything unless you get some type of recognition after that. And so for me, I'm like, Hall of Fame, yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. That's something to set me different from my father, from my Uncle Donald, from, family members that play in the NFL, that are getting awards and being All-Americans all the time. So I think that was great for me to kind of experience that. And then being in this time of being an African-American woman, and all the crazy racial things that are going on, to be able to show people where I came from, that, I kind of came from a place where there's not a lot of people that are going to play in college. Not saying they're not good, but they don't have the opportunities to play. So being that person that's saying, hey, I grew up in South Seattle, and I went to university, I went to college, now I have a career, now I'm doing all these things, these can be done. And I think that it's really great to see that, and I feel appreciated, and I feel proud of myself, but also others that kept me on track.
You just dropped a bunch of nuggets. You just dropped a bunch of nuggets right there, Regina. You touched upon so much, being an African-American woman and carving your own niche, and being prideful and being accomplished. I think, sometimes being in a family of tradition of greatness puts a lot of pressure sometimes on individuals, and you were able to carve your own niche.
Yes.
And your own spotlight, which you deserve.
Thank you.
So that's great. That's great. Let's dive into a little bit about your collegiate career. I know you started off at UCLA.
Yes.
And then transferred back here to the home state, UW.
Yes.
And end up finishing your senior year, making an all Pac-12 team.
Yes.
So what was that experience like, playing back home at UW in front of family and friends and the great fans that we have?
It was awesome. I mean, part of coming back home was being back at home. I think that when I played at UCLA and I came back to play at UW, I had a huge gathering. I had more than 50 people there to support me. And seeing that, and then going back and playing at UCLA and having about 10 or 5 was a huge difference for me. I played high school basketball here, and I had a fan base here already. And also just my family was a big part of me coming back to UCLA. At that time, when I left UCLA, a lot of people thought it was really about basketball, but in a sense it was, but it also regarded family. My grandmother, Cora Dorsey, she passed away during that time. And at that time, I've never had a person that was so close to me pass away. And so I felt like being back at home was somewhere I needed to be for me mentally, because a lot of people don't understand basketball isn't just physically going out there, but if you're not mentally prepared to go out there, you're not going to do well. I mean, there's plays you have to remind yourself of. There's a lot of things you have to remember. You have to remember personnel, people you play against, people you play with. If you're mentally not together, you're not going to be able to do any of that. And when I was at UCLA, that was the difference. I think when I came back to the University of Washington, those first couple of years, I played around a lot, and I wasn't as serious mentally because I was trying to find that balance of being a college athlete, being someone that was so good in high school, and then coming and being home and trying to get my mentality back to where I needed to be. My senior year was where it clicked click too late, you know. And if I tell any athlete that play at home, they want to play at home, is just to stay focused and realize that you're there to play. Realize that there's things that, I mean, now I think about it, now that I'm older, I'm like, dang, there's things that I wish I could have done. I mean, I know we all do, but I think that if I talk to any athlete, if you stay home, make sure you're focused, you know. And my senior year, I was focused. I think I averaged almost 20 all the way until the end, and I averaged about 16 or 18 points at the end. We made it to the WNIT. It kind of started this whole era that is after us into this greatness, because that class after us, they actually went to the Final Four. And Coach Neighbors and Coach McGuff relied on me a lot. I was captain that year. And like I said, Jasmine Davis and I were, you know, the leading scorers that year. And it was really something that they sat down and told me, hey, you're a senior, you're a captain, and this class after us is going to be considered your class. If we go to the Final Four, if we win the championship, it's because of you, because you sat down and you started this era that comes after you that's going to be great. This is the era that you start, because they see you playing out there and they see our coaching style, and they can see that this is a place that they need to be. And for me, that was just a mind-blowing thing. Like, all this pressure is on me, but also it let me know that I was important to the team, and that my senior year, that these gears needed to kick in. And you know, one of the things that Coach Neighbors did to me, because him and I are really close, he sat me down and asked me, what did I want out of that year? He's like, I only have a year for you. What are some goals that you want? And if you tell me 1 or 2 goals that you want, then I will do that for you. So I told him I wanted to be an All-American, and I wanted to be on part of the Pac-10 team, or Pac-12 team at that time, because it switched to Pac-12. And, you know, we sat down, and I was leading scorer for a while. Jasmine Davis and I were going back and forth. Either I was first or second. And I was an All-American. I was named to the Pac-12 team, first team, you know. So to have that experience, and have a coach that really supported you and was like, this is what we're going to do. This is what I need you to do in return, and I'll make sure that it happened, and it happened. I think it's important for anybody to hear, coaches, players, or whatever. You know, I think that was a turn point in my career, and it happened late, but it's better late than never, right?
You're 100% correct. I think you laid the foundation for a lot of UW greats to come through behind you. Seattle bred Talia Walton, Deja Struthers. I'm sure they grew up watching you play, and you guys just passed the torch. And as a member of the staff now, we are about building that relationship also, and continue to build it, and trying to keep the local talent here. So I think we're going to continue to build on it. I think you've dropped a lot of great information for not only local kids, but young ladies that are aspiring to be college athletes, to get that degree and to be focused.
Yes.
You know, and you talk about relationships. You have a relationship with your coaching staff, and understanding you had a vision of what you wanted to be. And I think a lot of it is having that vision, that dream, and that belief system, and knowing you can get it done.
Yes. So another thing is, you know, I wanted to come home because my mother was home. My mom, Sheila, she was really a big part of me being able to come back home and have that support. I called her and said, hey, I want to, you know, come back home. I don't want to be at UCLA anymore. And she said, come on home, we'll figure it out. And she was a big part of that, getting me into the University of Washington and being there. And she was there with me throughout my basketball career. And actually, she used to model. And so after I played basketball, I wanted to do some different things. And I told her I wanted to, you know, maybe do a beauty pageant just to see. And she was like, okay, sure. So she got me into, you know, going and doing the Miss Plus America, and I ended up winning Miss Washington Plus America in 2016, and it was a great experience for me. I think it was that switch, you know, into becoming that woman and not that tomboy figure that I had already, you know, had. I think that my mother has supported me with anything that I do. So my transition from being in the work life to being in, you know, doing the competition and being in the pageant was really amazing. So yeah, she was a driven force, and my mom has supported me with everything I do, and I'm so glad that she has been in my life, because I think everyone needs that one supportive person, and she really was that supportive person.
I think winning that pageant just shows a lot about what all you bring to the table. You're talking about, here you are, was an athlete, star basketball player, got a degree, very educated, articulate, smart, and be able to go on and win Miss Washington. This shows you have a wealth of talent that you have and that you were sharing with the world. So that just says a lot. And to have a mom to support you and to believe in you just goes a whole long way. So I take my hat off to your mom for being such a support system, because I think we all need that support system. As we come to an end, I want to say happy early birthday. I know you got a birthday coming up, so I want to say happy early birthday to you. And I'm sure all the Dawg fans that listens to Dawg Talk are excited to see what you're doing in life, and they enjoy watching you play. And hey, we want to keep you in the family.
Thank you. Thanks for having me come and talk to Dawg Talk. It's always go Dogs, and I wish you guys the best with everything. And I'll have to try to come out either to a practice or a game or do something. I have my jersey still.
Oh, there you go, rap.
So whatever you guys need, I'm here. So thank you.
I appreciate it. You have a good one. Thank you so much. And people out there in Dawg Talk, our Husky fans, stay tuned to next week. We will start introducing our 2021 team to our Dawg community. Have a good one, Regina. Thank you.
Thank you.